you make all this? You don't have an opinion. You just got to have an opinion. I mean, you said God came down from heaven and stopped you. Oh, what's happening now? Oh, man, I shot you in the face. Why the fuck you do that? I didn't listen to you.
With Quentin Tarantino purchasing this film for $80 million, it became one of the studio's first major investments. From that moment on, Harvey Weinstein was involved in every project Tarantino directed, all the way up to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Richard Avery was Tarantino's former co-worker from his video rental store days. The two frequently worked together on scripts, and Avery's influence on Pulp Fiction is especially noticeable in the Butch and Fabian scenes. However, the studio wanted to present Tarantino as an auteur director, so the entire screenplay credit was given to him. That's why the film lists written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Avery received only a shared story credit, and it's often said that this decision caused a rift between them. They never worked together again. Before writing Reservoir Dogs and True Romance, Tarantino had already completed 2 of the 3 stories that would later form Pulp Fiction. After the success of those films, he wrote the 3rd story with the idea that each segment would be directed by a different filmmaker. The reason Vincent talks about Amsterdam in Pulp Fiction is simple. Tarantino wrote the script there. He started with a single notebook, thinking it would be enough. By the time the script was finished, he had filled several notebooks with notes. The role of Vincent Vega was originally written for Michael Madsen, but Madsen was under contract to play Virgil Earp in Wyatt Earp. The producers refused to delay rehearsals, and according to Madsen, if they had allowed more flexibility, he could have appeared in both films. In Reservoir Dogs, Madsen's character Vic Vega, Mr. Blonde, is Vincent Vega's brother. Tarantino even planned a spin-off called Double D Vega, but the idea was abandoned as both actors grew older. One of the first actors considered for Vincent Vega was James Gandolfini, but he suggested his friend John Travolta instead. Interestingly, Daniel Day-Lewis also auditioned for the role, but Tarantino ultimately chose Travolta. Vincent's long hair and constant cigarette were entirely Travolta's ideas. Tarantino initially imagined a simpler look, but approved everything after seeing Travolta's interpretation, creating one of cinema's most iconic appearances. Uma Thurman initially didn't want to play Mia Wallace. Tarantino was determined, so he read the entire Pulp Fiction script to her over the phone. That performance convinced her. Thurman disliked the song You Never Can Tell by Chuck Berry for the Twist contest, telling Tarantino it didn't feel right. His response was simple: "Trust me." During the dance scene, Uma was extremely nervous about dancing with John Travolta. When she told him, his reply was blunt: "Shut up and dance." The choreography at Jack Rabbit Slim's closely mirrors a dance scene from Federico Fellini's 8½. Tarantino designs costumes not as clothing, but as armor, a philosophy inspired by French director Jean-Pierre Melville. Jules was originally imagined with a massive afro, but when Samuel L. Jackson tried on a jerry curl wig, the look became iconic. The moment Jules flips the table was improvised by Jackson. The shock on Frank Whaley's face was real, and the scene was completed in a single take. Jules' famous Bible quote is only partially real scripture. The first half was invented by Tarantino and Jackson, while the second half comes from Ezekiel 25:17. Christopher Walken's pause during the gold watch monologue wasn't scripted.
If it had been me,
He forgot his line, but recovered so smoothly that Tarantino kept it. Vincent Vega's 1964 Chevelle Malibu actually belonged to Tarantino and was stolen during production. It was recovered years later in 2013. Pulp Fiction was made on an $8 million budget, with $5 million spent on cast salaries. Before its release, international distribution rights sold for $11 million. The film went on to gross over $200 million worldwide and became one of the first movies to use the internet as a marketing tool. When Pulp Fiction won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, Tarantino responded to boos by saying, "My films don't unite juries, they divide them." The film was released on the same day as The Shawshank Redemption. Both were nominated for Oscars, and Pulp Fiction won Best Original Screenplay. Over the years, both films achieved cult status and secured top spots in IMDb's Top 250. This has been another deep dive from Scene Diary. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden stories behind Pulp Fiction, share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories from cinema history. See you in the next one.